Welcome, Kumita Explorers, to our new episode. Nandito tayo ngayon, Christian, kasi meron tayong important topic. Ano ba yung important topic na to? Which is
Siyempre,
yung favorite food natin and coffee.
food, Junel. Thank you
Mhm.
again to Kumita Explorers all there, no. Lahat tayo gusto nating kumita, 'di ba? And we're gonna talk about agriculture kasi syempre diyan nanggagaling yung food natin, no. And then syempre pagtapos natin kumain, ano ba yung ginagawa natin? We drink coffee, 'di ba? To energize ourselves and to have a good conversation.
So, Christian, why are we having this topic pala? Our recent episode were about AI, technology, di ba? But ngayon, napunta na tayo sa Agritech and Coffee
And
Entrepreneurship. Why now?
great question. Kasi may mga nangyari this month na personal experience and syempre sa mga interaction natin, we've been out. A lot of business people have been approaching us during some of the events that we joined. And merong dalawang balita, no? At least yung isa very close to me, no? Yung first balita is yung Pickup Coffee received, you know how much funding, Jonel? It's
Kano?
1 billion pesos.
Oh.
Over 1 billion pesos from the startup community. So mamaya pag-usapan natin in detail. So that's a good topic kasi makikita natin kung nabigyan sila ng 1 billion, ibig sabihin there's a business potential for the coffee business. Second, second sa Agritech naman, I've personally encountered, no, kasi I'm exposed to fintech, no, is ang daming companies ngayon na lumalabas na agritech focused. So kakaiba ngayon, and they're getting a lot of funding. So if you search sa Google right now, type in coffee business in the Philippines, type in agritech in the Philippines, makikita mo there's something something is happening na kailangan natin malaman, especially kung gusto mong kumita, you want to invest in, you have some money, you want to invest in a new business. So this is a good business idea. So that's our topic today, Pinoy business idea. Siyempre, yung coffee business, is there an opportunity there in Agritech?
I'm interested dyan, Chris. Baka mag-invest tayo ng di oras. That's what Kumita Journey is all about. So we explore business opportunities na available sa lahat ng industries. So, syempre, i-check natin kung ano yung mga technologies or strategies na pwede natin gawin para lumakas sila. So, can you introduce our guest, Chris?
Sige. We have two guests here. Both of them are my friend. And let's start with Johdel. Johdel Ocampo is the founder of Pukaw Coffee Enterprise. I think he's had this business since 2018. No, it's a specialty coffee roaster. I've experienced it myself. Thank you for that gift. He's a very smart guy. Does a lot of things as well. Very, very insightful guy. And we have here, syempre, also a friend of mine, si Dax or Dakila Olfindo. So, ganda ng name. He's an agriculturist, a member of the Professionals for Agricultural Development here in the Philippines. He's also the founder of Dream Agritech Consultancy Services. So he helps, businesses in the agriculture and provides his services in the agritech space.
So, umpisahan ko na yung first question. Can you tell me more about your business, Johdel first, and then Dax?
Okay, sige. My business, Pukaw Coffee, we specialize in local Filipino coffee, to be specific. It started in 2018 when I went to Sagada. It was initially for travel, but I stayed in a farmer's house. And then one morning, I went to his farm and learned a lot about coffee. Apparently, a coffee tree grows and produces cherries up until age 100. So there's a lot of insights. Sobrang dami kong natutunan at binaan ko siya pabalik ng Manila. Nagsimula ako with selling cold brew coffee because I don't have the supply chain. I wasn't able to set it up at first. So I started selling cold brew coffee yung panahon na hindi pa siya talagang boom na boom. I think one of the companies who's selling cold brew coffee was only Starbucks. So medyo binottle ko yung cold brew coffee. I was selling it in events. I was selling it to to my office mates, my family and friends. And then it grew. 2019, I started selling beans. And then 2020, I opened my Shopify account because I had to really adapt to the pandemic, definitely. So I started selling via Shopify. Pero at the same time, I wanted my business to be more profitable. So apart from direct to consumer or B2C, I also approached a lot of hotels, restaurants, meal delivery, yung mga diet delivery services to supply coffee to them. So it opened doors for me to also work with a lot of farmers from Sagada. I also spoke to a farmer from Benguet. I spoke to a farmer from Nueva Ecija, Nueva Vizcaya rather, and then down to Mindanao. So I now have suppliers or farmer partners rather, from Bukidnon, from Davao, from Sultan Kudarat even. And then I'm growing constantly the base because it's also empowering the supply chain, also helping out these farmers make their farming more sustainable, and also promoting the local coffee here in Manila and also to other countries. So yeah, that's it. Pugo Coffee.
Okay, why did you start your business, Johdel? Ano yung nakita mong vision para sa business mo?
Um, it started with my passion for coffee initially. I was one of the first baristas for CBTL back in 2006, matagal na. And the passion for coffee was there. Even at the age of 8, hindi ako nagsimula with drinking Milo and all the other beverages. I started drinking coffee na talaga with the pandesal, yung magdidip ka ng pandesal. So talagang nandun yung passion, nandun yung interest ko talaga sa coffee. It just kicked off when I went to Sagada. Na-realize ko na, ay, yung coffee supply chain pala, hindi lang pala siya Nescafe, which is majority of the Filipinos knows 3-in-1. Ang dami pa pala niyang underlying, hindi lang issues, but also potential to grow. Pero I also realized that the problem is na-overpower ng local Filipino coffee yung mga foreign, like galing from Colombia, galing sa Colombia, Africa, and we really have to do something to promote the local coffee because in the Philippines we grow the 4 types of coffee. So we have Arabica, Robusta, Liberica, and Excelsa. It's just that we lack awareness, we lack support from the government as well, and also the farmers. They lack knowledge in terms of how to market their their produce. So yeah, that's why I found a niche in the market na gusto kong mapunan. So that's why I started Pukaw Coffee.
Yeah, thank you for that. So you're saying all major types of yung coffee beans are present here in the Philippines. So that's a blessing, no? Pero
Correct.
no one's taking
Correct.
advantage of that. Now, I want to ask Dak, same question. What made you, tell me more about your business, and second, ano yung vision mo para sa business mo?
And hello. So first, I want to thank you for the opportunity, to tell you more about coffee and of course the agritech space. So Dream Agritech started way back in 2015. So we were a group of young professionals, young agriculturists. So ang story talaga behind that is meron kaming family friend na nag-ask sa akin about so nalaman niya through my parents na isa akong agriculturist. So they asked me about establishing a poultry farm. Kaya lang, ang major ko is horticulture. So I figured na parang I would not be the best person to ask about establishing a poultry farm. Although may knowledge kami, kumbaga to establish a thriving business, it would not be best kung ako yung i-engage nila. So I tapped a friend, a contemporary colleague na I know who majored in poultry science. And then, the idea just, started off from there na why don't we form a group that is comprised of agriculturists from different fields of specialization na para pagka may client or may potential client na who would want to invest in the agriculture business in the Philippines, they would not have a hard time seeking advice or seeking help. So Dream Agritech is actually our main business is creating detailed farm plans for prospective or who would who would want to invest in agriculture. So similar to how an architect creates a plan for a house or an engineer creates an engineering design, ganun din kami. So we put in mind the, the concepts of sustainability, farm agronomics, and then of course the responsible use of agricultural inputs. So yun talaga yung core business namin. So ang vision namin is of course, kasi nag-start din naman talaga yung business, yun nga, nakikita namin, merong mga gustong mag-invest sa agriculture, kaya lang, hindi yun yung primary vocation nila. And then, that serves as a barrier kasi you wouldn't want to go into business, into something na parang hindi ka familiar with or wala kang alam firsthand about. So, nakita namin na maybe we could break the ice and maybe we could serve as bridges between the investment and yung agriculture industry. So, we provide technical advice, we do provide farm management services para yung investor is, kumbaga, mas at peace siya doon sa kanyang investment na gagawin sa kanyang farm. So, yeah.
All right. Thank
Ano
you. Thank
yung
you.
mga... sorry, Christian.
No, sige, go.
Okay, ano yung mga nakita mong motivation ng mga entrepreneurs to start in the agri-tech space kahit na may mga kalaban sila?
Well, first of all, they really want to address the issue of food, of course. Alam naman natin na importante yan. And we literally can't exist without it. So, nakita nila na meron talagang opportunity sa food business. But yun nga, my business really falls into production of the food or the raw materials for the food. So, yung motivation naman ng mga, well, first off, my clients, yung mga nakikita ko motivation nila is, of course, they want to give back to the community that has given them so much. They recognize yung hard work that farmers put in day out. They're really appreciative of it and they want to help the sector. Secondly, of course, they also want to help the locality where their farms are located. They want to bring livelihood. They want to uplift the general economic situation pagdating dun sa mga lugar na yon. And lastly, some of them do have a legacy play. Kumbaga, they want to leave something to their children and their children's children na parang they can point at that farm and say, that's ours, that's our family's farm. And just some of the motivations that I've come across.
I just want to validate that story kasi as I mentioned kanina, I've been exposed to yung mga investors. When they hear the word agritech, hindi lang yung monetary tinitingnan nila, but yung impact sa society talaga. That's why mamaya pag-usapan pa natin in detail na matunog siya. Matunog yung agriculture and technology combined because syempre food is scarce, di ba? I mean, tumataas lahat ng bilihin. So the way to lower that is by innovating, di ba? Our processes and all that. Sige, eto, I want to go back to Johdel. And syempre, Dax, I saw you posting coffee din. Syempre, nasa agri space ka rin. I'd like to get your thoughts, both of you. And I'm sure you love coffee, Dax.
1,000,000%.
Okay, good. Si Johdel loves coffee. Ako, I'm enjoying
Of
learning.
course.
Why do Filipinos, this is a layered question. Why do Filipinos love coffee? And sa ASEAN region yata, Philippines is the second largest consumer of coffee. And then second to, I think, Indonesia because of their population. No? And ito yung study ko, 3.78 kilograms of coffee every year by 2025. So, 4 kilong coffee ang kinukonsume ng isang Pinoy. Ang Brazil, ito yung stats yung Brazil is number 1 daw in consumption. They're averaging at least siguro 7.5 by 2025. So imagine yung coffee na kinokonsume. Yung US is 5.6 by 2025. So medyo malapit na tayo doon. So again, going back to the question, why do Filipinos love coffee? Anong thoughts nyo both there? Who wants to start? Siguro, Johdel, ikaw muna.
Sige. For me, bukod sa caffeine, na kailangan natin to be more productive in our daily tasks, it's also a social, there's a social component behind it. People, parang people want to, converge, pwede silang mag-usap, magkwentuhan, to catch up. Kaya nga, ang dito, pagka meron kang long lost friend na nakita mo recently, tara, coffee tayo, catch up. So it's also associated with that, with the conversation, with warmth. So talagang inline siya sa mga Pilipino. We're very sociable. So the social component is one, apart from the caffeine. And then also with the boom of the coffee industry nowadays, parang ngayon, halos bawat town, bawat kanto, may coffee shop na eh. Mas lalong na-propel yung coffee as a beverage. Naging sexy siya, lalo in a way, especially to Gen Zs. Kasi there was a time wherein milk tea was parang the fad. Sikat yung milk tea, may long lines for milk tea. But now I think it's coffee that's claiming the spot in terms of the number 1 beverage. And then of course, yung 3-in-1 culture, very strong pa rin. Yung people who relies on 3-in-1 to wake them up sa mga work nila. So yun, talagang intertwined na siya sa culture natin.
Ayun, sir. On my end naman, kasi I underwent, during my undergraduate years, I underwent on-site or on-the-job training. No? So, I was working in Cavite, and so maaga ang start ng operation sa farm. It's not your typical 9 to 5. So, you actually start at 4 a.m. So, syempre, bilang alas 4 yun ng umaga and very dark outside, ang talagang kickstart ng day ng mga farmers natin ay yung coffee. So Cavite, nasa Cavite area kami, so they had access to Barako coffee, the Liberica variety. So talagang akala ko kasi yung kape noon, when I was younger, akala ko iniinom lang yun tuwing umaga bago ka pumasok, bago ka umalis ng bahay, sa office. Pero nung nag-OJT na ako, parang every 2 to 3 hours umiinom ng kape yung mga farmer kong kasama. As in, kahit na nasa kainitan kami ng araw, nasa gitna kami ng bukid, kada makakakuha sila ng break, kape, coffee talaga. So, that also, I think that also plays into what Sir Johdel mentioned, no, na talagang parang socially part na siya ng ating culture, no, the way that parang we always do have great interactions with each other, with food, especially coffee. I think naging social hub na rin yung mga coffee shops natin. Doon na nagaganap yung mga meetings, for example, reunion with
Family, friends, yeah.
Family and friends who we haven't seen for a long time. And yun talagang madami na rin coffee shops na nagpa-pop up. Nakaka-encourage siya actually kasi for example, when there's a big business in your industry, most likely you will be risk averse and parang ay wag na lang, hindi na lang ako magtayo kasi anong laban ko doon, or parang sino ba namang bibili sa akin, meron namang ganitong brand na malaki, na well marketed, na international franchise. So nakaka-encourage siya kasi when you do go to the provinces, when you do go outside of Metro Manila, makakita ka pa rin ng mga coffee shops, ng mga little mom and pop, your artisanal coffee shops na maliliit na, kumbaga, they're not afraid. They're really fearless when it comes to putting up their own business and then hoping that their brand will catch on. And then ayun, parang these spots, some of these coffee shops are parang landmarks na rin dun sa area nila. For example, if you're visiting a particular area, parang alam na parang, oh, when you're in that area, you should pass by this coffee shop. Their coffee is really good. So, parang naging part na rin talaga siya ng ano na rin, tourism yung ating coffee. So, yeah.
Yeah, not to mention Filipinos love waiting. Yung Filipino time, yung concept doon. So,
Oh,
wait for me sa coffee shop, ganun. So, minsan 1 hour
Good
ka na
point, good
naghihintay
point.
doon. So, tingin ko may ano talaga, may problem siyang nasusolve.
para hindi ka nabobore. Otherwise, aalis na eh. No?
Agree.
Good insight.
Al- Also to add, Sir Chris, there's also a lot of events right now, especially this 2023, like Manila Coffee Festival, which just concluded. When I attended, hindi lang siya about coffee na-associate siya sa arts, sa music, sa maraming components na talagang yung ecosystem na nabuo sa kanya made it really enticing, not just for our generation, but also for Gen Zs. So talagang ano siya, it's no way but up for the coffee industry, I would say.
Speaking of coffee, nag-coffee ako ngayon. Abang ano. I have another question, Dax pala. Ano yung interplay ng Agritech sa coffee production? May mga new agricultural technology ba na that helps increase yield?
Yes, well, yung Agritech kasi ngayon, when you do think of Agritech, you think of Internet of Things, or you think about yung mga fintech tools natin in relation to agriculture, basta anything related sa internet. But I think yung Philippines kasi nasa stage tayo na we're not really actually at Agri 4.0 or Industry 4.0, yung ready na tayo to adapt to that. The agriculture industry is way behind. So, meron pa mga earlier versions ng Agritech na that would dramatically increase profitability. And I have one in mind, which is drip irrigation. Drip irrigation is a method of irrigation wherein you put up irrigation lines directly or specifically targeted to the root areas of the plant para walang nasasayang na tubig in terms of evaporation losses or temperature losses. So, kumbaga, naka-diretso siya doon sa papasukan ng tubig dun sa plant. And drip irrigation, yung advantage niya kasi is you won't have to do irrigation manually. Less water use actually. And you can directly feed the plant the nutrients they need through the water. So it's very it saves up on labor, it saves up on other costs, it saves up on system losses. So that specific Agritech in itself, malaki yung magiging boost niya sa coffee production kasi in times of like this, yung sobrang init, of course our plants, although coffee is a bit hardy, it would still need water to thrive. Kasi pag nasa-stress yung plants natin like humans, they'll be less productive as well. So, ayun, that's just an example off the top of my head na I can think specific Agritech na that would affect production.
Yeah. That's actually very helpful sa coffee farmers because one of the problems in the coffee supply chain is consistency in terms of the supply. So there are, like, for example, I'm asking this farmer to produce 50 kilos of Davao coffee, pero their production cannot accommodate. Hindi kinaya, maraming peste na kumain ng pananim, hindi nag-yield ng enough cherries yung puno. So, with Agritech, I would definitely say na ito yung answer or solution to the inconsistent supply of the coffee industry.
Johdel, ano ba yung pinaka-importanting bagay na dapat nating malaman tungkol sa Philippine coffee culture and market kung gusto mo mag-start ng coffee business?
Dapat meron kang awareness din sa grassroots, hindi lang yung end product yung binebenta mo. Dapat there's also a social component, there's also an advocacy behind it para at least it goes deeper, and there's also a story that unfolds. Ako, when I participate sa events, sa BGC for example, which is the market na talagang target namin sa Pukaw, there's the story is also very interesting. That's also why they are buying. Kasi if you're gonna compare our products with the contemporaries na who's selling a pack of coffee for 300 pesos, sa amin kasi around 500, medyo mas mataas siya. Pero the reason behind that is the quality. So we're only working direct sa farmers, that's one. And we're only sourcing yung, kasi may coffee grading na tinatawag. Pag below 84 or 83, if I'm correct, yung coffee grade mo, hindi na siya specialty grade. So may mga ano rin, may commercial coffee, may specialty grade. So we're differentiating and at the same time educating customers about specialty grade. So that's one. Know the story behind your product. Know how yung pinanggalingan niya, dapat alam mo. Up until from crop to cup in a way. So that's one. And then also try to help the farmers behind it now that you know kung gaano kahirap. Kasi one of the reasons kaya tumataas yung pricing of coffee, it's very volatile. Para rin siya, may stock market din siya. Nagra-rise and fall din yung pricing ng GCB. GCB is green coffee beans. That's how we buy it. Tapos we roast the coffee. You have to try to give back and then definitely dun ka na bumili diretso sa farmer because if you go through middleman, if you go through intermediary channels, mas liliit din yung profit ng farmer. So at the end of the day, it's not sustaining the supply chain. Hindi rin sila makakapag-produce if their profits are really low. So know the story behind it and try to help as much as you can. Kasi we all profit from this big supply chain industry. So why not help the farmers who's at the very bottom of it?
That's good. That's good. Ito, I want to go back. And this question, Dax, Johdel, I'd like to get your thoughts here. Since we talked about yung social element ng coffee, no? Ano ba yung nauna? Love of coffee or yung coffee shop, Starbucks? In your opinion? People, ano ba yung nauna that created this Pinoy coffee culture?
May I go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So for me, coffee has been around here sa Philippines naman ever since I think around the 18th century. So I don't think that it was the coffee shop or a specific brand sparked the love of coffee in Filipinos. I mean, we've been drinking coffees sa bahay, sa kapitbahay, pag fiesta. So I think yung social element niya na we love to gather, we love to talk amongst ourselves over food or over drink. Kumbaga na-amplify lang siya for me. Na-amplify lang siya nung dumating na yung mga big brands or big international brands dito sa atin. Na-amplify lang siya and lalo lang siyang na-embed. Kasi meron ka na pwede talagang specific na area na puntahan. Hindi yun na yung sa bahay ni kumare o sa bahay ni kumpare. Kumbaga meron na talaga kayong neutral zone na maganda, malinis, malamig. Yun, pinaka-importante, malamig. Na pwede kayong mag-meeting doon or pwede kayong mag-intay nung inaantay nyo nga, sabi nga ni Sir Johdel. So I don't think na it was the brands or it was the coffee shops that kickstarted the whole thing. I think since time immemorial naman, Filipinos love gathering. Ayun. So parang naano lang talaga siya. Na-cement lang siya with the coffee shop.
Yeah. Nag-explode, di ba? Johdel?
Yeah, I concur. I was born in the 80s and sabi ko nga, I love drinking coffee. 8 years old pa lang ako. Hindi ako nag-Milo, hindi ako nag-chocolate drink. So diretso ako sa kape. I went straight ahead. So drilling in dun sa point na before talagang instant coffee, Nescafe was a big thing, kape puro. And then when Starbucks came in the late 90s, they normalized the coffee na 100 pesos and above. Yung talagang special. Parang naiangat natin yung ating pamantayan in terms of the coffee quality that we're looking for. So ayun, and then to Dax's point, yung coffee shops talaga, it's a social, yung ambiance, you're paying for that. I guess 70% of what you're paying for dun sa cup of coffee is actually allotted for the ambiance, for staying in that coffee shop. So actually pag nag-take out ka, no, come to think of it, parang lugi ka din pala because you weren't able to take advantage of the ambiance.
That's good. In fact, before Nell asks the question, parang I read somewhere that if you pay for a Starbucks coffee, it's like 10% lang yata yung actual cost nun, or something like that. No? So, grabe. Pero you're paying for the experience, di ba? And the
Yes.
brand itself. Okay, before Junel asks the question, next question kasi namin about the coffee market, no? And is it, sige, Junel, ang concern ko ba, is it saturated or is it not saturated? But sige, I think you can answer that naman when Nell asks this question.
Kung 'di ba, coffee entrepreneur din ako. Kunwari kung coffee entrepreneur ako, paano ko masisiguro na yung kape ko may quality, tapos sustainable ang source at saka yung epekto nito sa taste at appeal ng kape? Johdel, you can answer.
Okay. Well, ano kasi maraming drive to educate people now. As a matter of fact, ang dami ng mga workshops about coffee, ang dami ng certifications. Ako, when I was starting sa coffee industry, apart from my barista background, I even went, sobrang talaga, I went down the rabbit hole. Nanonood ako ng YouTube videos, I was reading books, I was buying books about coffee, and then I got certified sa US, yung Specialty Coffee Association when I was starting noong 2018. So nowadays, talagang normal na for people to be educated about coffee with all the access that we have sa technology. So alam na natin yung different types of coffee, kung bakit ganito yung pricing ng coffee na to. Sometimes it's not just the brand, but also the technology, the quality of the beans that they use, yung rarity. For example, yung Gesha, that's the most expensive coffee bean. A cup of that can range up to 800 to 1,000 pesos. So, and people buy it because of the taste, because of the experience. They want to be part of that, that experience of drinking Gesha. So, yun, marami nang educated about the quality ng coffee.
Dax?
Ay, sir, pwede pa ulit ng question, sorry.
Paano masasiguro as a coffee entrepreneur, paano masasiguro na dekalidad yung kape?
Ayun nga,
And ano yung effect? Yeah.
Yeah, I think going off on what Sir Johdel said, there are a lot of classes, meron na ring mga technical certificates available for coffee. So if you're really an entrepreneur looking into the coffee industry, I think it's really quite important na you know what you're doing actually. So similar yan sa pagiging chef. I mean, I don't think you would put up a restaurant na high end without knowing, how to cook. So I think knowing about the business is important. Knowing how to taste, how to smell, and how to roast would be key. Pagdating naman dun sa supply sustainability, I think it would be key to work with farmers on this one. Yung pakikipag-interact sa kanila, and then teaching them things or techniques, new technologies about production. Kasi that's the only way you can actually stabilize your supply, is if your farmers or your partner farmers are productive, mas-stabilize mo rin yung supply on your end, not just in terms of volume, but in terms of quality. Kasi a little fun fact about any agricultural commodity, you really can't improve it after you harvest it in terms of the quality of the fruit or the vegetable. So the only way you can improve its flavor or quality is if you post-process it. But when you do post-process it, you're post-processing the cherry which you harvested, and you really can improve that after you harvest it. Yung quality ng cherry processing. So to be able to get the best of the best, you really need to practice, the best techniques that we have in agriculture. Para cherry pa lang, grade A na, and then the rest will just follow: the roasting, the packaging, and the processing. So yeah.
Yeah.
Good
To
question.
also add, sorry, to also add, you have to take care of your farmers. I make it a point to visit them, even going as far as Mindanao to also check the farm, how they process it. Parang sinasabi nga ni Sir Dax, you have to really know the ingredients that you're selling, the quality. And then may sorting kasi silang ginagawa. They sort out the bad uh, beans from the yung talagang grade A, yung specialty grade. So yun, it's just a matter of taking care of them. I even went as far as uh, giving them loans for for what they need dun sa production. So yun, taking care of them, yun yung sinasabi ko rin.
Tama yan. Kasi, again, yung interaction ko sa mga farmers din, agriculture business, talagang kailangan mahalin mo sila. Pakita mo yung concern mo. And sometimes, they really need the money. So, they really definitely need the money. Okay, eto question. Ito na yung case study natin. We move on to meron tayong dalawang case study. No. It's the story about Pickup Coffee. Okay? May mga pros and cons yung yung story nila eh. Although may market kasi sila, they're focused on the market. So here's the brief, no? Siyempre, number one, just a background, Pickup Coffee recently, I think this month or last month, received a funding worth 1 billion pesos or 100 million yata siya or something. Almost 2 billion pesos. No? From a startup, venture. So madami nag-invest eh. No? So number one, I'm sure you've heard of WeWork, diba? WeWork is like an office space, but they were able to capture the startup. Yun yung kumbaga na-draw nila na in a way convinced, although they're not really a tech company, di ba? Usually kasi pag startup ka, dapat may technology kang kasama. But not usually the case, no? But as long as you can show tremendous growth potential, di ba? You're disrupting the business of the coffee. You could be considered a startup. Siguro ganun yung play nila. They have a business plan. We don't have access to their business plan, but we can only see yung moves nila and what yung mga interviews nila. So I'm going to the question. So ang positioning nila is they have 50 pesos per cup. At least nandun. That's their game, di ba? 50 peso cup. So yung question natin dyan, and I have a follow-up questions here. Do you think they can maintain that price point given inflation? And syempre, they are also saying quality. Diba? Quality. Pero it's hard to, parang yun yung branding positioning mo. Or you think ba eventually they will shift? This is just an opening strategy that they have. And third is, yung second question is, yung forecast nila, since they were able to generate at least 1 billion in funding, and they have a growth target yata na 2,100 stores by 2025. Is that real? Do you think is that realistic given their strategy? Number two, yung potential ba ganun kalaki to consider? Kasi if you got 1 billion capitalization, ibig sabihin yan, more than 1 billion yung kikitain mo. Diba? So maybe I should start with you, Johdel. Reactions there and thoughts.
Okay. For me, yung Pickup Coffee, talagang na-disrupt niya yung coffee business, yung coffee industry in general. When I started sa Food Panda, sa GrabFood, wala pa sila eh. And then they exploded, I think early 2022. They started really dominating those apps. And then I checked it out to see what the fuss is about. So I bike kasi. So one Sunday morning, nagbike ako papuntang BGC. They have this shop in front of Uptown Mall. Tapos I checked out what the fuss is about. So meron kasi silang two types of clients eh. For the weekdays, ang bumubuhay sa kanila are the deliveries to the offices. They're situated strategically near offices, yung mga spots where schools even, where people will pass by, pick up their coffee, and then go. Na-answer nila yung need na yun eh. I don't want fuss sa coffee ko. I just want to get my caffeine fix for the morning and then go. Tas mura pa siya. So it addresses the concerns ng mga Gen Z. Primary kasi nilang market, I assume, is Gen Z. Based on my observation, nasa dami ng pumipila sa kanilang dun sa age bracket na yun. So yung price point, na-address nila yun na right now, I think 120 to 130, still very affordable yung coffee nila when you check it out sa BGC area. So they address the weekday market, and then yung weekend naman nila are bikers, are yung mga nagli-leisure sa mall. So yung ibang branches din nila are situated sa malls. So in the business model, so they pop up everywhere. Meron silang pop-up store sa isang barbershop. May pick-up coffee doon. May isang pop-up store sa tabi ng isang bar. So they rented a small space, like a 5 up to 7 square meter space in that specific bar. And siguro yun yung ano nila, yun yung big strategy nila for domination, ubiquity. So a lot of branches everywhere, so that in terms of yung ano nila, yung geo tagging nila sa mga apps like Food Panda and GrabFood, marami silang branches. Everyone can buy wherever they are. Kasi there's a pickup coffee nearby. So yun. And the price point, of course, very affordable siya.
Good. That's
Siguro on my end, a bit more technical, ayun nga, ay nabanggit ni Sir Johdel na very ubiquitous. So, coffee have a lot. They've established their footprints everywhere. For me, for the business to be sustainable, and I just want to put out a disclaimer that this opinion is my own and it's not
yes.
tentative of the
May kabiat ha.
Oo, kailangan.
Pero yeah, I think one way or the best way, I don't know if this is part of their business plan, but I'm really hoping that with the funding that they got, they get to spur, and encourage coffee planting sa Philippines or even in Southeast Asia again. Kasi we do belong to the coffee belt, which is a rare geographic location that parang we just so happen to be located in it, and we're yun nga nabanggit nga kanina earlier in the show na we do grow the four main varieties of coffee. We're one of the countries to be able to do that. So of course in any business, kung wala kang raw materials, it would be hard to sustain that, and I think that they should really keep a close eye on that, the supply. Kasi reports have been coming in that, for example, Robusta has been declining elsewhere, like in Brazil. So meron tayong upcoming shortage actually. So yun yung forecast at least. So and the trees, some of the trees, especially in Africa, have been there established for a long time. So of course, pagdating sa plants, there will come a time na magde-decline yan. Parang yung mga NBA superstars natin, they have their peaks, and then they can sustainably produce, and then it will drop. So I think that that should be a core part of their business plan. And I'm hoping that with their popularity, with the buzz that's generated around their name, yung mga landowners natin or yung mga growers natin would be encouraged kasi parang nakikita nila na, uy, meron na kaming market, meron na kaming pagdadalhan ng coffee namin, which is them. So, and I think other agri-tech players also in the space should should take note of that. No, we should take care of production first. Kasi without the production, there would be no produce to market. So, ayan, I think that should be a priority in terms of sustaining the business.
That's a good ano. Ako I just have a follow-up insight there, no. Kasi nga imagine I think nasa 2.5 pa lang tayo per kilogram no. Per person. And dadami pa yung mga tao, 'di ba? We're already at 100 million population So yung mga bata, siguro si Johdel is an exception, 8 years old pa lang umiinom ng coffee. But madaming darating na, magko-coffee So yung demand for the actual materials, the raw materials, the ingredients, which is the coffee beans, will be very important. So now, next question ko related to that. Ako medyo, I wanna play the devil's advocate here, no? Kasi, syempre, kami yung show, no? We wanna provoke something. Pero 50, okay, two parts, no? Yung first part is 50 pesos. Is that sustainable? Or that's the plan of Pickup Coffee kasi ang market nila hindi yung season. Kasi I've asked this question before the show. I asked yung mga nasa 30 plus na. Iba yung reaction nila sa Pickup Coffee
Yeah.
Parang, I don't want it. Parang, it's ideal ba for, so yun yung second question ko. Yung third question ko is, will it hurt ba yung mga other, yung mga artist grade ba yun na coffee shops na talaga high quality, medyo high pricey? So, thoughts there. Yeah. Siguro this time I want to get your thoughts, Dax. Para pag-ganun tayo. Sige.
Okay. Alright. So, I think, yun nga, no, nabanggit yun na yung market segment ni Pickup Coffee. No? There seems to be parang a clear line in the sand between the market segments. So, for me, I think one way, we've been talking about the price point, the 50 peso price point, or the $1 a cup promise. Is that I think they can deliver on that actually if they are able to supply sustainably. Yun nga, kasi iba yung yung slant ko It always goes back to production.
Production, of course.
Kasi if you have a steady supply that if you have farmers cooperating with you, or if you're really working closely with farmers, ayun, that's one way you can bring down the price point. If you have the volume of the raw material and you're doing the processing yourself, you cut out costs at every stage of the process or every stage of the supply chain. So, ayun, I think that would be one way to keep the value proposition alive, and also by diversifying into selling other products, like for example, selling your ground coffee beans or selling your ground mixes or something like that. That would be one way to keep the promise of 50 pesos. And then I thought, if I'm not mistaken, you had another question. Sorry.
Yes, about so again, I think nasagot na yung sa price point, no? I think they can address that. And I guess yung focus, really naka-focus lang talaga sila sa market na yon, sa certain demographics. Do you think will that be sustainable? Kasi they will grow di ba? They will eventually grow itong mga consumers na to, and they will, find and taste yung mga ino-offer ni Pukaw Coffee, for instance, na there will be a difference. Syempre yung income nila tataas Will that be, from that angle, you think, ano yung perspective mo doon? Is it just acquisition? Parang nangyari kasi parang acquisition lang siya. Pag nakuha mo na yung market segment, magmamature na siya. Or is there really a big opportunity, baka for pickup coffee talaga, yung grab and go type of business model? Doon yung main driver nila.
Yeah, well, for me, yun nga, they're relatively young as a business. So I think there will be a couple of more iterations before they actually, kumbaga, perfect what they want to do. But I see it as something na parang yun nga, entrepreneurs like Sir Johdel, they offer the more artisanal or more higher quality coffee at a different price point. So I see it as being, they're catering to the younger generation or the students, which can afford that type of coffee. So for me, as you grow older, of course, as you have more income, you get a job, kumbaga, you get to try new things. Of course, yung expectations mo din around coffee will increase. So, for example, if you get to taste pukaw coffee, of course, parang mapupukaw ka talaga na parang ito pala talaga
Tama.
dapat yung or something like that, di ba? So, I think that parang it plays that way na parang of course sa demographics naman natin, every year, every decade may mga bagong teenager, may mga bagong young yuppies. So, I think that market will be steady. And then as the yuppies grow older, as they graduate into young professionals or older young professionals, yun na, that will be naman the Pukaw Coffee turn na parang, okay, kami naman, it's our segment now. So parang ganon. Yun nga, as we grow older, our palates go complicated and our tastes different. So I think habang may pinapanganak pa sa Pilipinas or elsewhere, I think
Yes.
good.
That's good. Johdel, your thoughts, syempre, na-experience mo and syempre, you're really on the ground with this. Yeah.
Oo, ako naman, well, going back to to my story when I tried pickup, that's the first and last time that I tried it. I was biking one Sunday, nagtry ako ng latte. I would say the beans is okay. It's robusta. It has that flavor profile. In terms of the milk, kasi it's not just the beans that's driving up the cost. So it would really help if they have a steady supply. If they're working with local farmers for robusta, the logistics is really affordable for them. Pero it's not just the beans that's driving the pricing. It's also the milk, the syrup, the sugar that they're using for their coffee. So with their milk, I assume they're mixing it with creamer to also drive down the cost based on the taste of their latte. Kasi for me, it's black and latte. You can really judge the coffee shop's offering dun sa dalawang base products na yon. Number one, with the black coffee, walang mask yung taste eh. It's not masked by sugar and milk. So you would really see the quality. So I tried black, I tried latte. So for the latte, it's a combination of whole milk and creamer. So that's driving down the cost kasi mas mura yung creamer. And then they're also the syrups. If you go to the artisanal, yung mga specialty grade coffee shops, you would see na talagang they go for branded syrups. So with pickup, they produce their own, so that's also driving down the cost. They're in control eh. So hindi sila at the mercy of the pricing of those branded products that they associate with. So that's to also keep within their cost. So and then also in terms of growth plans, yun, as Sir Dax mentioned, may graduation path dapat. All products though, not just coffee. Everything I would say, kasi you have to nurture your customers. You also have to be aware of their ever-growing needs. And then the thing is with the coffee industry kasi, and with the food industry in particular, ang daming options. And the nature of people is to try different options and see what suits them. So talagang inevitably, talagang merong disruptors dun sa business model ni Pickup. I've observed that in particular, dumadami na rin yung branches nila. They operate on the same principle as Pickup, which is ubiquity. So they're steadily growing their number of branches. So with Pickup naman, I think they're unique in the sense that they're open to partner with everyone. With a barber shop, magkakaroon bigla ng maliit na Pickup booth doon. With a bar. So talagang talagang nilalawakan nila yung reach nila. And then at yung end state that I'm envisioning for them as their customers, their existing customer base matures and medyo yung taste din ng nagiging more sophisticated, they might take the route of Starbucks, yung churning out stores like Starbucks Reserve, yung mas may premium silang offshoot para at least they cater to everyone eventually. So I think they're starting with this model, partnering with everyone they can, having their own supply chain of ingredients, and then steadily growing, and then eventually having another store that will cater to millennials and those with a higher sophistication for coffee.
That's good. Ayan. Siguro maririnig to ni Pukaw Coffee founders. Thank you for that. At ang ganda nung insights. Iba yung perspective ni Dax, no, coming from the production and also yung science also, and then si Johdel on the business side, yung breaking down the cost, so, and also yung future plan. So that's good. Janelle?
Let's switch to let's go back to Agritech ulit. So Dax, from a score of 1 to 10, how advanced are we when it comes to farming productivity using technology? Tsaka follow-up question ko dyan, ano pa yung mga latest technology that we should have in layman's term? And for you, Johdel, may mga agritech-related technologies ka ba na encounter when it comes to coffee?
Sige. Dax?
I'll go ahead. In terms of you asked me to grade it on a scale of 1 to 10, no?
Yes.
Yung kung gaano na ba ka-advanced or ka-behind yung Philippine agriculture in general in terms of agri-tech or in terms of production. Siguro I'd grade it a solid 3. Kumbaga, we're still producing the way that our lolos and titos did. Yung penetration ng technology is still scarce. Medyo mababa pa rin yung penetration rate niya in terms of the technologies that really do affect production. No? So there are really to bridge on that second question, there are really simple techniques and technologies that have been established elsewhere na pwede nating apply dito that will really improve. And these are not your robots or these are not your IoT sensors even. Just, for me, I'm a huge proponent of farm data record keeping. And I think that's something that also Sir Johdel would appreciate kasi when he does interact with farmers, para ma-stabilize kasi yung supply niya, of course he would want to know kung ano yung information about the crop or about the farm. So I think that's one technique or technology na hindi pa widely adapted dito sa atin, yung simpleng pagno-note lang ng kung halimbawa today umulan, bukas makulimlim. So over time, I think you will get data on that. You will get weather pattern data. And then eventually, you will be able to plan accordingly based dun sa weather calendar mo. Kumbaga, you're not gonna be much reliant on pag-asa forecast, although you can still use that as your index. Having your own localized farm record will help immensely pagdating dun sa planning mo naman dun sa operation side mo, kung kailan ka magtatanim, kung kailan ka mag-fertilize, kailan ka mag-harvest. So, that is one technology na very, manual pa yon, pero hindi pa din siya widely practiced. So, in terms of other agri-tech na talagang, of course, you've heard of greenhouses, you've heard of grow houses. Singapore is, despite their lack of land area, they're trying to grow vertically. So to be able to feed their people. So yun, I think that's an agri-tech worth considering dito sa atin, especially yung mga consumers natin are in the urban areas. So that will help in terms of the supply chain, yung kumbaga yung pagiging malapit niya dun sa end user. Of course, logistics costs will be reduced, the carbon footprint will be reduced kasi hindi na siya magta-travel, for example, from the north or the south up to Manila or to the metro areas. That will help reduce costs in terms of the environment and logistical costs. So yeah, I think if I go too much into it, I think I might eat up a lot of time. So I'll leave it to that first.
Okay, thank you so much.
Johdel?
Johdel?
Okay, on my end, I concur na talagang at the infancy pa lang talaga yung Agritech application for coffee. With my exposure to coffee farms, especially back in 2019, pre-pandemic kasi I've been really active. Like every 2 months, I go to different farms. I've observed na it takes 3 to 4 years bago mamunga ang isang coffee tree ng cherries. And then, yun, while waiting for that 3 to 4 years, talagang hirap na hirap yung farmers to sustain kasi it's also a business at the end of the day. It also has to be profitable for them and sustainable. So most of them resort to planting vegetables, planting flowers for sagada. So minsan nakakaligtaan na yung coffee pag lalo na pag nag-boom na yung vegetable, yung flowers. So yun, with the application of Agritech to possibly shorten the 3 to 4 years, that would really help to sustain the coffee industry. And then also yung sa logistics, as Sir Dax mentioned, right now, ang ginagawa ng mga farmers, kasi before, kami mga coffee entrepreneurs, we go for single origin. When we say single origin, it comes from just one farm, one farmer, talagang single lang yung ano yan, genealogy ng coffee na yun, yung pinanggalingan niya, it's just one. But right now, people are more open to having a co-op. So bawat farm or bawat area, meron silang coffee co-op na tinatawag. So this coffee co-op, because of the lack of support, they just try to fund themselves. So nag-iipon sila, they consolidate all their funds to buy yung pang kiskis, yung milling of coffee because you need to also dehull the coffee. They also fund the roasting machine. Um, to also speed up their production. Tapos yung coffee co-op na yun, if there's a specific merchant or entrepreneur that approaches like me, so I go through the co-op. Tapos yung co-op routes me to the right farmer or pwede naman kino-combine nila yung production ng lahat so that they can sell it more effectively. And then and that also drives down the cost for logistics. And also, farmers will focus on their farm instead of traveling, instead of marketing. So the coffee co-op handles that for them. So instead of agritech, naging social component, co-op is founded to help the farmers. Yeah, that's what I can say.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Parang there are different mga stakeholders and partners within that ecosystem, no, to
Correct.
make it really efficient across all.
Hesitant ba yung mga farmers sa mga new technology? Kasi pag nakikita ko sa mga farm, parang until now, wala pa lang silang internet access. They don't even have GCash then. What do you think?
I think in general, I think they're very pragmatic kasi. So pagdating sa mga new technologies, they're at a wait and see approach. So I think there just has to be somebody who can model it to them and just show them the clear-cut benefits of the technology. And I think mababawasan naman yung hesitancy on that end. Kasi just as an anecdote or just something I could share, no. When we started Dream Agritech, when we got into the business of advising, so of course pupunta kami sa mga farmers, kakausapin namin sila, tuturuan namin sila ng mga technique, and then there would be initial pushback agad kasi sasabihin nila sa amin, Totoy, hindi pa kayo pinapanganak, nagfa-farm na kami. So parang bakit nyo kami tinuturuan on how to farm? But I think that comes from more of a sense of they really want to see first kung ano ba yung impact ng technology. They want to see it with their own two eyes before they adapt. Pero once you find naman na parang they find that something is effective or something is profitable, they would go all in naman doon. So I think kailangan lang talaga na mag-champion, kailangan lang na magmo-model in terms of agri-tech or these techniques that we want to espouse. Kailangan lang ng somebody who can lead the way and show the farmers ito yung maaaring ma-improve or ito talaga yung benefit pagdating sa production.
That's good to hear. Ako, I have a question for both. Sino ba yung usually interested na magtayo ng, let's say, agriculture business or coffee business? Are they someone with a family background? Particularly, kunwari, may agriculture business ka, di ba? Ang mga na-encounter mo ba dahil meron silang land or talagang may farming background sila? On the coffee side, Johdel and also Dax, no, on your interactions, are they venturing into that business because ano yung background nila? Is it because they love it or I just want to earn money? So yun yung distinctions natin.
Si ano muna.
Si Dax,
Si,
Dax. Si
so,
Johdel. Sige.
Okay, on my end, I can speak for as a coffee entrepreneur myself. Dapat with any business naman hindi naman pwedeng you're just there for the money. It has to start with passion for the product that you're selling. You have to have a deep understanding, knowledge, even exploring training, certifications, just for added credibility na rin that you're walking the talk when it comes to what you're selling. So dapat meron talagang passion, interest. Ako, it started with me being a barista back then for CDTL. And then yun, may passion for coffee at a young age. Tapos ngayon, that I'm capable, I founded Pukaw Coffee. And then if you lack passion and you're just there for the money as an entrepreneur, mahihirapan ka to sustain the business, to keep it open. Kasi it's really hard, to be honest. Maraming cost. May mga months that wherein you have to really cover for the losses. There's a really spike minsan. Meron kang mako-close na deal, especially for B2B. And then there are months na wala. So if you're just there for the money, it's not gonna be sustainable for you.
Dax, on your side, sa mga clients mo na nag-approach sa'yo, ilang percentage yung dahil may background sila sa agriculture, ilang percentage yung walang background, they just want to do it for money because they have an asset or something?
ayan, so I'm really not allowed to disclose yung
Oh,
mga certain percentage.
sige.
But for me, majority siguro or at least more than 50%, not to be specific. I think most of them really are passionate about agriculture. They see na parang they see the need, they see the emerging needs, the emerging threats as well sa agriculture. And they just so happen to have the resource most important to agriculture, which is land. So, yun yung nakikita kong trend. Like Sir Johdel said, you really can't go into a business, especially a business like agriculture, where there are, peaks and valleys na talagang masusubukan yung fortitude mo. You really can't go into it without having that distinct passion for it. So, the passion for, producing food, helping, uplift lives, of the farmers. So kasi ano yun kumbaga that's all one big package that you must be doing. Pagdating naman dun sa talogyo, kung meron ba akong na-encounter na talagang in it just solely for the money, so far wala pa. So far,
Okay.
I'm really glad to say na so far wala pa akong na-encounter na gano'n kasi I've been fortunate enough to get in touch with clients na talagang they're really gung-ho, they're really driven about, making their land productive is the primary goal. And then secondary is making everyone else around that land productive. So, yun yung nakikita ko. At least that's what I've seen.
Okay. Good to hear.
Yung mga nabasa kong mga Indian, Israeli agritech companies seeking Philippine partners. Ang alam ko, ibang klase yung yung ibang klase yung Israel pagdating sa agritech. So can you share some insights on why they are so effective and why do you think they're partnering with us?
Okay. So pagdating sa Israel and Agritech, I've been to a couple of their shows, their caravans and everything. Mature na yung technology nila when it comes to hydroponics, indoor farming, yung production system nila using drip irrigation like I mentioned. Kasi they're playing off yung scarcity naman on their end, no? Of course,
Yeah.
compared to us, mas madami tayong tubig, so they really have to save up on water. Pero yun kasi I think yung location din natin, it has its own cons also. because people tend to take for granted what we have. Yung location natin na we're abundant in water, in sunlight, kumbaga medyo na ano yun napuput aside siya. So I think I think that's one insight that we can really imbibe and appreciate pagdating sa mga Israelis is they really make the most of what they have, the resources that they are afforded. Kumbaga, they really invest in it, they really fine-tune it, and kumbaga, make it mature to a point na they're already exporting the technology. So, I think I mean, that's the insight that I picked up from that, is that dito sa atin, we should really take care of our home court advantage pagdating sa pagtatanim at pag-grow ng mga crops.
That's true. Ako, may insight lang ako syempre sa viewers natin na hindi exposed sa Agritech and Israel in general. They're now the number one when it comes to Agritech. And they started out kasi, di ba, the Jews, yung mga Israelis, wala naman silang country before. Pagbalik nila sa country nila, it's a desolate place. It's a desert. There were no crops. So, syempre, mga Israel, mga daming scientists dyan. So, they embarked on, making sure na mabuhay sila doon. Diba? So, using technology, they were able to parang improve their, yung crop yields, saka whatever that, yung components. I'm not technical, I'm just into Israel, no? I was reading this book ni Prime Minister, yung current Prime Minister ngayon. And he was talking, yeah. So may biography siya na nilabas. Yun yung isa sa mga achievements ng Israel. Really, yung agriculture. And that's why they're claiming this is our land, no? Because before wala talaga, barren land. And so that's good. And syempre, yung R&D nila, kumbaga there's that support ng government Talaga tayo, parang yung mga businesses kasi natin dito, it's like 10% lang yata or less than support ng government sa kanila talaga for their survival. So, yun. So it's really good. And also just to let you know, guys, our guests, no, we're about to actually wrap up. No, just want to tell you that as far as Agritech is concerned, it's really a growing industry. It will reach like $10 billion by 2050. Ito yung Agritech. We're not talking about agriculture business. Yung supporting the agriculture using technology. It's in an infancy pa rin siya, no? So it will grow by $10 billion by 2015. So parang kasing level niya na yung mga bagong startup na yun. And by 50 billion by 2028 worldwide. Janelle, your final question before we wrap up?
Okay. We have a final question for each of you. So you have 60 seconds to answer. Johdel first. Why should I invest or pay attention in the coffee business for? And for Dax, why I invest or pay attention to the Agritech business?
For me, because we're a coffee drinking nation, unlike China and all the others in Asia. So unique yung Filipinos in the sense that we are indeed coffee lovers naturally. As a matter of fact, the coffee industry is booming, and because of that, it's also the supply chain is also becoming more and more consistent in terms of making sure that they provide the demands. So the cost of beans, it's slowly becoming more affordable. It's becoming more accessible as well. Putting up a coffee shop, there's a lot of experts now. You can also have the route of franchising from well-known coffee brands. So venturing into the coffee industry compared to what it was 5, 10 years ago, it's a lot easier now and also profitable given the right marketing, given the right product offering and pricing matrix that you're going to be deploying, and also partnerships. You have to have multiple streams for your business, not just stopping with the pickups with the Food Panda and the Grab Food. You also have to grow. You also have to venture into retail. If you can sell beans, if you can sell coffee apparatus, coffee equipments, that would also be better. Whatever would complement your product. I even went as far as partnering with Ugo Bigyan to sell artisanal mugs that he's creating, and and the mugs will go as high as 1.5 a piece. I was able to sell it because it's also tied to my product. And at the same time, I do bundles. So, for example, you buy a coffee equipment, it comes free with a cup of, a bag of beans. Yeah, you really have to be very innovative. But in terms of setting up your coffee business, there's a lot of resources on the internet. There's a lot of subject matter experts. There's a lot of events, affiliations that you can join. The Philippine Coffee Guild will be able to guide you with that. Um, so the time is now. You really have to do it now, especially with the boom of the coffee industry. So that's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so for me, okay, keeping a close eye on the time. I'm just, I really want to encourage everybody to look into the agritech space because it's really burgeoning enough to have it separate from the agriculture industry. So, ayun, it's coming whether we like it or not. The best thing that we can do is learn it and adapt to it. I think that goes not only for me but to everyone who practices agriculture here in the Philippines and elsewhere. Now we must learn how to use these tools, these technologies, to be able to increase our profitability and production. So yeah.
All right. Thank you. With that, maraming salamat to our guests and syempre our viewers. See you again on our next episode and find out more business ideas, new opportunities for you. So with that, thank you and see you next time.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.